you'll see in your packet, let's see, I'll just go through it quick. The treasurer's report, two new registers. The Baker Tilly agreements for the real estate and the general fund audit for the current year, which will start after July 1st. The draft of the real estate collectors. Then there's the updated plans that Mike Lemereau gave, plus an email where he basically gives what he thinks will be the timeline that can be supported. There's a memo to be added to substitute custodians for personnel after that. Then we go into the consolidated or the comprehensive plan, which the district will review. We'll give everyone a week to review it, and then as part of our administrative report at the board meeting next week, we'll go through this. And along with that is the induction plan and the professional development, the Act 48 plan. And that timeline is kind of like the budget, where the board would, after review, you would approve it, then it would go to public review for 28 days. So then in July, if there's any changes, then we would hit submit to submit the plan, and then we would publish it to the public. So the public review, we're required to announce that in our paper of general circulation, so it'll be advertised in the Sully, our Facebook, our web page. There'll be a copy in the district as well as the public library in Dushore, which is state required. So after that, then there's the reports that board members provided, board reports. And then Randy included a copy of the tentative Act 93 agreement with the updates highlighted in yellow. So that being said, then we can let Hal start with his thing.
Oh. Yeah, we just got all those reports. Substance of the reports. Anybody have questions on all that stack of papers we just got?
Yes, I know. I'll have to let them know. But it's gonna be.
Anthony or Heather? Nothing?
Nope, I had
Okay.
nothing from what I perused. I would like to fix
Check
that.
registers, athletic payment, MHE engineering, at least doing something, we owe them $2,900. I gotta look at the drawing, couldn't you make it smaller?
You're just taking hits today, aren't you?
Yeah. Business manager end of year budget transfers, I don't remember seeing those.
No, it'll be, I'll have a motion that the board will allow me to make the transfers necessary. When I work with the auditor, we'll make journal adjustments, and the board essentially gives me authorization to make those journal adjustments as we close out.
Is that the 200,000 or 300,000 that we were moving to different account?
No, I would have that would be in the regular register.
Okay.
This would be like when we're closing out accounts, one payroll account to the other payroll
Okay.
account. Because, yeah, at the end, you want to end up with at least a positive balance in each one of our accounts.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you're moving monies from a salary to a benefits account or a supply to a transportation, just to balance those out. So they could be as little as a few cents to make it above zero.
Right.
Or it could be like when we look at cyber schools, there might be transfers for services provided, that sort of thing. So it's just a motion that the board would allow me to make the changes necessary to close out the year.
Budget scheduled for adoption on the 21st. It's out in the community right now.
Yep, we had one person review it.
Sullivan review.
No,
No.
former board member.
Letters of engagement from Baker Tilly for a single audit of district accounts real estate collection for the 21-22 school year. We just got that, right?
Yes. Yep.
Those single audits. They should be read over all that and understand that. Purchase of Cradle Point routers.
This was a project that came up. I'll have Lance describe what the project is.
Yeah, so the federal government has a program via USAC, which is what we normally get E-rate reimbursements through. The program is called Emergency Connectivity Fund. And it's designed to help schools and libraries respond to connection issues related to the pandemic. At the start of the 21-22 school year, back in September and October, I was looking at how we might, like what projects could we actually do that fall within that emergency connectivity fund guidelines. One of the things that happened in the 2021 school year was we worked with community locations to set up specific Wi-Fi hotspots that if somebody didn't have connections at their home, they could drive up to the location and get Wi-Fi service. I was speaking with one of my vendors in the fall and he said, hey, you could actually buy through the emergency connectivity fund Cradle Point routers that you could install on your buses so they would have internet connectivity. And if you needed to, this seems like a long time ago that we were discussing the potential of full school shutdowns, which I think is a good thing that we're not having that discussion, but that's when the program was out. If you needed to, the buses could be driven to locations throughout the county in parts, or even just stop along their route. And if a student didn't have internet at their house, they could pick it up via the bus, download what they needed to, and then the route can be continued. So because there is a connection to COVID response, we put in the application back in the middle of October. There were multiple iterations where I was in touch with the reviewer of the project. There was some whittling down of it, and this is ultimately what was approved. And it would allow us to deploy these Cradle Point routers to our entire fleet in speed. And it's unlike E-rate, which is normally you have a discount rate that they cover 60% of the project cost. This is a 100% coverage if we would want to go forward with it.
So how does the Wi-Fi get broadcasted? Like, is it picking up via cell signal?
It is.
So is it a carrier like a Verizon or AT&T only?
So we applied for Verizon service. In my discussion with the vendor, we would be able to switch that in the future because I know there's
One thing
parts
like
of the county-
extracurriculars, there's parts of the county that don't have either or cell service, and if you were to
Right.
have an incident, somebody could tap the Wi-Fi and call and make a call if the radio is down or something like that.
Yeah,
How many of the
you know,
buses would this be put on?
This project, if the board chose, we could scale it down, but this project would cover all of our buses, all of our vans. It was designed to do all of our vehicles. When I spoke with the E-rate coordinator for Pennsylvania, I said, okay, well, what if the decision is that we don't want to do that? She said, well, you're always, that's not a usual question. You're always allowed to say, we only needed this percentage of the funds and send the rest back. Obviously the hardware is purchased outright. This application covers 1 year of service that is usable through June 30th, 2023. So we cover all of next school year if we went ahead with it. I've been told they actually have the devices in inventory where we'd be able to get it in the summer and potentially, and it also includes installation costs on the buses as well.
So USAC's paying for all the hardware, all that stuff, including
That is-
installation and.
And what
Yep.
would be the monthly cost to us after that?
It'd be about $600 a month after that. It was about $8,000 total for the year.
Or we can choose not to.
Or you can choose not to.
But at a minimum, we have a year to test it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
And we've got Chromebooks in everyone's hands. So we're talking about kids being able to do their work on the bus. You know, because our kids, some of those routes are long routes. So, I mean, we might be talking about some more usable time that these kids could be accessing, because not all of them, this is one of the questions. How many have good internet when they get home? And that's not always a
I think this is
guarantee.
a win
And
for
here,
365 days. It's
yeah,
a
when they're
trial free
doing
year.
other activities, as much as we can give them while they're in our care, we can provide them. And I think, the program where it's rolled out 100%, I think it's just,
Lance, would the Chromebooks be hooked up to,
That'd be
those
more than-
automatically like they do with the school Wi-Fi?
yeah, it would, once it was all set up, we'd just be able to program in the network information through Google Admin Console, and the Chromebooks would pick it up automatically. So it wouldn't be like, we wouldn't have to have a big sign at the front of the bus, like, here's your
Username and password.
username and password. It'd just be their Chromebooks would work on it. Any devices that we,
They wouldn't have to log in.
yeah.
And would it
I mean, if we had
have
assistive devices, Randy, we could individually program those, but.
Oh, that's actually a really good point, Lance, that I hadn't thought of, because we do have some students with assistive technology like communication devices, but also like things for help, for monitoring. We have students that have cell phones that monitor like blood sugar, that kind of thing, that would be a safety benefit as well.
So my question is though, why did we do Verizon? Because I know like AT&T is the one that supports first responders.
Okay.
So I have service a lot of places that Verizon doesn't now. And like AT&T put a tower in Estella.
Yes, my work phone, I switched from Verizon to AT&T.
Yeah, everybody's
Coverage
switching to
better.
AT&T because there's more coverage in the county with AT&T.
I have an email into the vendor asking him what the process would be if we needed to switch from Verizon to AT&T.
Mhm.
We found that we were getting better service out of one or the other. So that's something that hopefully he would get back to me in short order.
And would the parental locks be the same as the school network?
It'd be a different filtering system, so there might be some differences, because each vendor has their own algorithms that they use. But at the end of the day, it would be SIPA compliant filtering.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah.
We're okay with that? Donation of lumber from Lewis Lumber. They giving us all the wood for our addition.
$500
Not-
worth, I think I saw.
Not much wood goes into the addition.
This was to the tech ed department.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I figured that.
There were two different donations put together.
That's nice. Updated health and welfare vision program agreement, is that different, or is that?
no, it comes out the same. There's no change in it was just since we signed a new professional contract, and it was multi-year.
Okay, yeah.
They just wanted to start the first year with the first year of their contract, so.
The Blast IU services. Do you have anything out of all those that
It's
Are
pretty much the same as last year. There's a $5 an hour charge increase for all of the various levels of service, but we only use what we requested them.
We pay
Yeah.
for what we use, right?
Yeah.
Higher Information Group 60, or 60-month copier agreement, that's you too, Lance, I guess.
Yes, so that proposal, I think, was in the email that was sent out. That would cover replacement of our existing fleet of copiers with similarly functional units across the board, 5 years of service, annual training available to staff members, preventative maintenance on the devices. Yeah, I think it's a good option for us, comparable
Yeah,
in price to what
to what we currently have.
have.
Yeah, it's actually a few thousand less per year than what we currently have. You know, we kind of got used to low interest rates. 5 years ago, when we signed the copier lease, you know, they were higher than where they are now, actually, even with the Fed increases, because we kind of bottomed out the interest rates. So the interest that we would be paying on the new lease is actually less than what we did 6 years ago with the old contract, because that's when we signed it. So yeah, it's comparable machines, comparable service to the original Philips contract, with a lower interest rate. So that's what I was interested with when we worked out the numbers. So.
Okay. Reddicker Partnership?
With me. This is something we've engaged in the past. We lock in a price over 3 years for our support for our student information system and our online grade books. They didn't, they gave us kind of a bonus year last year, 21-22. Just carried on with the same price that we had prior, just due to the pandemic. So that was awesome of them. They're a great company to work with. I think this is a good solution for us for the next 3 years. I asked them what the price difference would be per year if we were to just carry on 1 year at a time. And it's about a $1,500 a year savings. And this student information system we've been using for over 2.5 decades now. So
98, I think.
yeah, 98. So it predates Mr. Linder even. And they've kept pace. They've added modules on. They've added the online grade books. Incorporated in this, there's the coverage for apps, mobile apps for students and parents, and that's built into the price. So I think it's since we're not looking at other vendors, I think it makes sense to lock in a 3-year price, especially the way things are currently.
You're happy with it, so?
Yeah.
Yep, okay. Community Eligibility Program Information.
That was, I had Mary Elise ask me about, they had Williamsport School District. We're covered under the National School Lunch Program, and then for the last couple of years, they expanded the seamless summer option to allow us to provide meals at no cost for all of our students. The Community Eligibility Program, the CEP, some districts have moved to that, and it's because of their direct certification numbers. The number of students that are directly certified by the state for receiving cash assistance or Medicaid eligible or some other state programs, and they expanded the eligibility for those programs. You need to have 40% direct certified, and we're barely at that. In our years prior to COVID, we weren't close. I know that's something, I told past boards this. You go to Canton and their direct certified is more than 60%, and here in our county, we're fortunate that we're not there. So, we're still under the National School Lunch Program for our free and reduced, so that's going to be covered. But those students that are, that are in families that are paid, or that, they don't, not eligible for free and reduced, they'll have to begin paying for lunch. So that's just where we are with that, so.
And appreciate Doug looking into that. Basically, I saw an article that they had just approved it in Williamsport, and so I was curious if that was something that applied to us or not, just in case families ask, given the different financial hardships going on right now.
Yeah.
Just wanted to know if it made sense for us to look into, and it sounds like it doesn't at this time.
And just one more information item, donation from Edwin and Amanda Radar Snyder, reunion to SCES, purchase of boots and coats for students.
Yeah, we received a check in the mail, just a kind of a, it just came, and there was this little note attached to it saying that they closed out their account at CNN Bank for this particular organization, and they were wanting to donate it to the elementary school so that Sam would have the ability to purchase coats and boots for kids that needed them. So, it didn't meet our threshold, but I certainly think it's
Worth mentioning.
worth
Yeah.
mentioning,
Mhm.
from the board, so.
Any other?
Yeah, we went over the Baker Tilly, but the Sullivan County Real Estate Tax Collectors, it's the one that says draft at the top. I just wanted to point out, on page 3, essentially, they go through, they randomly select the townships that they're going to audit, and then they randomly select materials from within there. And you can see on page 3 that there are no variances between what was supposed to be collected and what was collected. Then they go through another procedure, and they pull out specific bills to see that the bills were collected or treated properly. All of them were. There was one variance, and that variance was a letter from the assessment office saying that a certain amount, or that the property had been reassessed. So essentially there was no findings, which means our tax collectors are doing what they're supposed to do.
Good. Anybody else have an audience? Unfortunately, that's all we have under finance.
All 300 pages.
All right, Athletics and Health Committee. We're done with finance, am I correct? Sorry, I didn't really hear
Think
you.
about it.
Yeah.
Good? I think that's what we're on to next, correct? Yep. Sorry. Item 1, we have a letter of resignation from a girls varsity assistant coach. Yes, I opened up my note, I didn't have the names in front of me. So, Mr. Muethler, thank him for his years of service. Item 2, is there any discussion on item 1? Item 2, letter of resignation from junior high assistant soccer coach, such as Mr. Muethler again. Item 3, addition to the list of volunteer coaches. And I believe it was
Same
Mr.
person.
Muethler. Yep. Sorry, I'm just going through to make sure I got the right stuff. All right, item 4, approval of the freshman class advisor. That would be Katie Rosa Martier. Did I pronounce her name correctly? I do not have any information on item 5, the health and safety plan review.
Yeah, every 6 months, the board is required to just say that there's an initial date, a revision date, a review date, and there are no changes to the plan, so all we do is just give a date of June. Every 6 months, we're to make sure that we look at it and make changes as necessary. This was the whole masking, and remember we went down to the recommendation
I
Or
didn't know
the-
any
the-
changes or anything
No,
had happened.
I was curious, did this exist before COVID?
no.
Okay.
No, there was the, this is the health and safety, but then there was the safety and security plan.
Okay.
They kind of sound similar,
Yeah,
yeah.
got it.
Now, I will bring that up. The safety and security plan, I'm required in an executive session to provide the board a review of our safety and, our safety and security incidents for the year. So, like at the end of next week's board
Yeah,
meeting.
but I feel we don't need to broadcast things that.
Yeah, it has to be an
Yes,
executive.
no. We-
Yeah, it
no.
has to be an executive because you actually might bring up individuals' names. But then again, it's the plans and review of plans in relationships with emergency responders and state police that aren't necessarily good to have out in public.
Does that happen next month?
No, we'll have that at the end of the
Meeting.
meeting on next Tuesday.
Okay.
You need to add permission to advertise for those positions. For the sports positions, the coaching.
For soccer coaches?
That,
We don't give.
It just
no,
does
that,
that, okay.
yeah, that just
That
happens.
just goes.
That's what I thought, I just wanted to make sure.
As for the health and safety plan, you don't see that dissolving? Is that something that's gonna stay with us?
The issue is that that was written into the law for ESSER and ARP ESSER, those federal funds. And until they expire, which won't be until 2025, they're gonna remain around. Yeah, because they were written into that law.
Well, there are some parts of it that were great, like I think the additional cleanings that take place. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody's worried their kid that, their first year in kindergarten coming home with every germ you can think of.
Yeah,
But stuff like that, like, should have been doing it years ago.
yeah.
But there's no change, so, cool. And I have nothing for other. Anyone else?
Okay, just to go back to health and safety for just a second, I thought it would, I know with the ventilation, you made some changes to the airflow and like how much, did we have any sense of like, you know, if that added financially or any, like, could we continue doing that? Because from a health standpoint, it seemed like a win, but.
Yeah,
as
I
that
think
played out.
just keeping an idea of the change of filters.
Which we're working on it right now, so.
Yeah.
And when we did this initially, air filters were put in, which are graded by number. And they were number 8 because, I mean, they make them much higher, but the ventilators that we have here at school are old. And they won't take that amount of suction, it burns the motors up. So we met that grade, with the highest grade in that. So we've been replacing, in fact, we're going through that right now. Starting to do that within the high school,
Yeah.
cleaning the units, replacing all their filters, do that in the whole district. So, yeah, that, I mean, as far as the operation of, that will continue.
Yeah,
The circulation part of it, in each room, wherever it can be had, and some of it's geared on temperature, so if it's like 10 below zero or something, it's, it
Yeah.
gets restricted,
right,
because the heating elements are inside those units also.
right.
But this helps with everything. I mean, if you have
Yeah.
increased filtration and ventilation, allergies,
Yeah.
molds,
It's not
mildews,
just
all of
code,
that.
so
Right,
it
absolutely.
helps you a lot, so.
And that's why I was saying, I think it'd be great to continue because it's anything, yeah. Okay.
I do have a request. I don't know how difficult it is, Lance, I know you're busy. But with the open coaching positions, can we get like a weekly bump on our social media on open positions? So we can just kind of maybe hopefully get some applicants.
Yeah, I have an online form, that, like faculty, when they want something posted on social media, can put in. And so what I'll do is probably just schedule an email to send myself on a weekly basis to do that, so.
Thank you. Anything else? That's all for athletics now?
Building and grounds, item 1, MHE amendment to the original agreement based on the final description.
Yeah, we had, this goes back, 18 months ago, we had signed an agreement with MHE to provide engineering services, but the scope of the project grew, as well as the cost and the stuff that we want. So this is essentially just an amendment to that. They're asking for a little bit more fee because the design it's bigger now. Its scope is larger.
I see they have a schedule,
Yeah.
gauge schedule. And they figure on being done with it in July of 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told you it's that far
Well, I
out, you know,
know.
because
Hope we're all
they're,
alive.
yeah, I mean, they're looking at what contractors are available and what supplies are available and, yeah.
Okay, anything else on that? Item 2, Piper Sandler engagement letter.
Yeah, this is for the financing of the project. This is Audrey Bear. She's been working with the district as long as I can remember, you know, providing us bond services. But it's an agreement with her to search the products that are available. Tentatively, she's scheduled to come in during the administrative report portion of our next Tuesday's meeting, just to meet the new board and go over what the process would look like. Now, it won't be a bond instrument, but she said the process of application is essentially the same. It's a loan process, and we already have the debt service baked into the new budget for, you know, the additional monies. So this is something that we would have to reconsider. I mean, what we're asking for has already been budgeted for. So.
Item 3, information. Use of school facilities requests from district organizations. The high school soccer team, soccer fields, gym, weight room, and hallways. The Sullivan County High School spring art show and concert. The auditorium, cafeteria, and hallways.
Yeah, we already have people looking out next year.
Well, yeah,
So,
it's probably best. So, any discussion on that? Good? Okay. Item 4, use of school facilities, request from the Sullivan County Action for the annual health fair for the use of the Sullivan County Elementary classrooms, gym, and cafeteria on October 21st and 22nd of 2022. Anything? We good? Okay. I have nothing else with other. Do we have any?
I just got a question on 21, that's a Friday? Or
I
they're
would
just
imagine
setting up on Friday?
they're just
Yeah.
setting up.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they won't, they asked to come in like at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, okay.
And they'll work with our maintenance custodial staff to get set up.
Okay. Good.
Okay, then I'm good.
All right, we'll go to curriculum. Item number 1 is approval of the comprehensive plan. Like Doug said at the beginning of the meeting, that's provided in here, and they're going to present it next Tuesday. Any questions? And remember, just for context, we started working on this way back in October, and I know it's been a huge undertaking for y'all, so thank you for all the hard work and all the people on the steering committee, and it's definitely looking like a good plan, and they repeat this process every 3 years, just for context. So it'll kind of set the direction of things for the next 3 years. Second item is informational, list of Sullivan County Elementary School and Sullivan County High School books for disposal. Just for transparency, we did have a curriculum work session yesterday afternoon where we kind of dove deeper into some of these. So, for example, this item, like these are all really old books. And so we're good with it. Alright, and then finally, item 3, student assistance letter of agreement and memorandum of understanding for 22-23. Providing like mental health services and referrals. One thing we spoke about yesterday is that, you know, these services are amazing and this MOU is a great benefit for us, and it's insufficient to serve the need that we had. So I think just if you hear of any community groups or things out there that are providing services or you have ideas, definitely let admin know. Because as I'm sure you know, mental health for kids is a huge thing across the country right now. And I'm glad we have the supports that we do. Any questions? Anything else related to curriculum? All right, curriculum.
Heather, you want to take transportation for Gabe?
Sure. So number 1 is the addition of the list of approved school bus drivers. That was in our packet that was emailed out to us. And I'm sorry, I don't have those names on me.
Stanley McLennan?
Yeah. Stanley McLennan.
Stanley McLennan.
Yeah.
And does anybody have anything for the other?
I may have, it'll be under administration recommends the final list for the bus route. We had the ESY, we were missing the Shunk route, and we had some interest in that. So I'll have those bus route approvals for summer school and extended school year. Or did we do extended school year? Anyway, I'll have those routes.
Do we have a number for the summer school yet?
Do you have a total student count?
We're at about 55 in the elementary.
Wow, that's
Wow.
good.
60.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And
The
high
issue,
go ahead.
the issue with that is they're spread across 7 grade levels, so that's why you'll see multiple, staff members.
Okay.
And at the high school level, it's optional for them to come in. They have till January or June 30th to register. They can start prior to that. They just got the information this week. Their report cards went out last week, so we couldn't get their, they were still taking finals the last week of school, so
Okay.
we'll have those numbers.
Do you think you'll have like just a estimate like next week, or do you think it'll
I
take?
mean, I can give you what we have. I can tell you what the potential number is.
Okay. Thank you.
And there's 8 students participating in extended school year here at the district and 1 student outside of the district in an outside program.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, we wanted to break down the barriers to attending. So, the number of teachers that were required or paying for courses for credit recovery, the district is doing that. So, before that was on a reimbursement basis, but that sometimes presents a challenge to families who can't afford it, then expecting it to be reimbursed. So with the district-owned contract, I think we'll have a good showing from the high school.
And we sent letters out yesterday to all students that should be interested in summer school, or it's optional. Maybe they only failed 1 course in 7th and 8th grade, which they can still move on to the next grade. But we still offer it to them too, so that they're keeping their information current and not missing any holes moving forward, so they can be successful in the future. I also reached out to any students that are planning to go to VOTEC that may have been affected by that. So if they fail a course, they cannot go to VOTEC unless they make up summer school. So I directly made those contacts yesterday to make sure those parents and families were aware and could get signed up right away, so they could get that out of the way.
And at the elementary level, students are either recommended or required So we did, I could get like the total count for you of who all was invited. Obviously not all are attending. July is a tough month to get some kiddos here with family vacations and things like that, so. But it's nice that we offer it.
Yeah.
I think the 55 is an amazing number compared to years past. That's all for transportation.
Okay, Personnel Committee. Number 1, approval of the ESY high school summer school and elementary summer school teachers and paraprofessionals. And we have high school life skills, Marcy Higley pending board approval, paraprofessional. And elementary life skills learning support, Stacy Strabilla and Sherry Rex. I guess that's it for them, right? Yeah. Number 2, permission to advertise for the anticipated high school position as budgeted.
So I provided you with information on that.
Yes.
We, during the budget process, presented adding a high school social studies teacher with the addition of the 4th credit requirement and some additional courses, and pulling those courses that we had an English teacher teaching and our STEAM teacher teaching. The person, I explained it all in the information, but when we hired or you approved a tech ed teacher last year, we struggled to get applicants because of the wording in the what we were asking for, the certification we were asking for. The person that we hired in that position is has a social studies certification, and was emergency certified to get middle school math, because that helps with the STEAM, and the tech ed certification. My recommendation is that teacher has been trained to be a social studies teacher, has had 4 years of schooling to get that certification. Let's pull that teacher into the history position and put out application, advertise for a tech ed teacher with the correct title and certification. But we also have, if we don't get qualified candidates or a candidate for that position, we could fall back to the original plan and then advertise for a history teacher.
So we know what we advertised wrong, or the wording that we didn't like, so we can fix it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It talks about it in the description.
Oh, we already see that here.
I feel the confidence. I like it.
I like it too. Okay, number 3, acceptance of certifications of completion for the teacher induction program. I personally have no idea what this means.
Okay, in order for a teacher to obtain tenure and level 2, I think it's called both, they need to complete an induction program. It's a state requirement.
Okay.
So we provide them with a mentor at the beginning of the year. They do a needs assessment with the new teacher, and then they have to document that they've gone over different requirements in the program that's in the induction plan. And they turn a log at the end, do an evaluation of the program, and that's part of all of our new teachers last year. I think it was all of them completed those. And that goes in their file so that they're eligible for tenure and level 2 certification.
So what if something were to come out where there's an issue with one of these people? It's fine that they completed this,
Yes.
but that, okay.
Correct.
Just want to make sure it doesn't affect one another. Okay, so they,
Can we actually get a copy of what the assessment actually is? I think
The
we talked about
induction
it before.
program?
Yeah, because I see where
It's
everybody
in
went
the-
through and
It's
has
in the
done it.
comp plan, the comprehensive plan.
It is.
You
Yeah,
have it in your
It's
packet
one of
this
those new
evening.
ones, yeah.
I'm just curious, like I know we've talked about it, I know it
Heard
vaguely,
about it.
but I've never actually gone through and like, what are they actually being assessed on? So it'd be good to know.
Well, it's a needs assessment, so what do they know, what don't they know at the beginning?
It's a self-assessment, it's not an evaluation.
It's not an evaluation, it's just that we gave them training.
The
That's what it
evaluation
is.
is handled by like the certification programs by the state, right?
Correct.
And then,
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah.
So you're not just bringing a teacher and be like, good luck, hope you do okay.
You're
You
giving
provide a
them-
mentor.
Got
The
it.
needs assessment is do you know how to do this? Do you know how to do this? Yes, no.
Okay,
yes.
I'm looking at it like an evaluation,
Right,
not
yeah, it's
necessarily.
not,
It's
it's not, it's
an
just that
onboarding
we
program.
provided them with proper training.
Oh, okay, all right. No, I was looking at it like, are
Yeah,
they
you don't
meeting all
need
the
to.
steps? No,
Yeah.
I was thinking.
This is actually a very important plan.
It is.
This is the
Sure.
introduction of the district to the employee and the employee to the district. And when it's not done with fidelity, there, I'll use the word again, then you end up with employees several years down the road that are struggling, they don't know expectations, they're not performing the way we think they should be, and it all happens on onboarding. So we have to make sure that we do this correctly. And
I had a totally different perception, so.
Yeah, that's what we were
What you're saying
assessment,
is
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that it was just an evaluation of sorts to see where they stand. It's more of an onboarding. Okay, nope, sorry, I'm quiet.
And to say, we provided you with the correct training.
Mhm.
Yep, just that document.
Okay, so those that completed the teacher induction program, McKenna Bagley, Samantha Schneider, Dana Heinrich, Ryan Sagady, Caitlin Ellis, Caitlin Southard, Seth Stoner, Stephanie Snyder, Taylor Baldwin. Any questions? Okay. Number 4, acceptance of letter of retirement from a cafeteria employee, and this is Linda Beaver, which she had put in time off for something else originally, correct? And now she's just retiring.
yeah, she had an injury that she
Medical,
was.
yeah, I thought it was something medical. Okay.
31 years, I think she has on her letter. That should be-
20 years at Turnpike and 11 plus
Mhm.
at the elementary school.
Yeah.
So, thank you for your service, Linda. Addition to the list to approve event staff workers, Taylor Baldwin. And approval to hire a high school special education teacher. And this is Marcy Higley. And does anyone have anything else?
Yeah.
That's it for person?
Yeah, we'll meet briefly for
Yes.
an executive for personnel.
Policy and procedure.
So the only thing for this month is in June, we'll reapprove a treasurer. The board will nominate the treasurer, and then the assistant board secretary.
I was gonna ask, there was a lot of things, I feel like over the past year of like first reads and second reads. Does all that come around the bend again where we are gonna have to look at the policies again?
Yeah, I have a couple sitting on my desk, but they're transportation. And they're not, every time you go through a legislative session, it seems like at the beginning of a year, when there's a lot of changes to law and there's a lot of changes to policy. Right now, we really don't have much to look at. We did have some administrative regulations that Randy reviewed for special ed, but those don't require like a first and second read, they're just
Gotcha.
like revisions. But we
I was just
haven't-
curious.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, it'll start at the beginning of the year with Megan Behensky will come with the federal programs, because each year you have to put in a specific dollar amounts for certain purchases that they provide us. And then, so she can report that, and that will kind of kick it off. But, we just don't have any waiting for us right now.
We do have to add something to personnel, right? Sub-custodian,
Oh, yes, I'm
Uh,
sorry. I
Peggy
had that sitting
Savage
there.
and Cindy Schumacher.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I forgot that.
so at this time, it's going into executive session to discuss a personnel matter. Thanks, folks.
So if we can have you turn everything off, Lance,
Yes.
and if I can have Lynn stay.
I need a bigger binder.